Welcome to the official Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society's podcast. I'm your host, Barnaby, and you're listening to Whispers from the Dark. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Whispers from the Dark. I am your host, Barnaby, and today we are still talking with our special guest, Tricia Brown, on this huge two-part episode where Tricia is just got done talking about her experiences with Bigfoot, and now we're about to move on to a new topic. We hope you enjoy this week's episode, and without any further ado, let's get back into it with Tricia Brown.
So another thing I want to mention is, we talked about this a little bit before we started, is teleporting.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk a little bit about that.
One sec. I want to talk on one more thing here with this. All your, we'll come right back to your teleporting. In all your time in the woods, like all over these states and stuff, how many times have you personally run into a bear?
Well, when you say, you just kind of, when you say run into a bear, that means see a bear.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, like see a bear in the wild. How many times when you're out camping and stuff have you actually come across a bear?
2 times. So like off the top of my head, I can think of 2 times.
2 times.
And one, it was off trail, and it was a small like black bear. I'm going to tell you, I also have gone to school, like park management classes. Like I was in the park management program studying animals, plants, conservation, habitat, ecosystem, all of that stuff. So I what does a bear do? What do black bears do? What do brown bears do? What do grizzly bears do? How do they act, and how to be with, if you see one, and same with mountain lions and these sorts of things. So the black bears and stuff, they don't want anything. If you have your food, they want to eat your food, but they're not interested in attacking you or anything like that. They're just minding their own business. Most animals are minding their own business. They don't really want anything to do with humans. Mm-hmm. So the first time was when I was in on that road trip, the fishing trip. There was a young bear that was just a certain distance off of the road, and it had a tag in its ear, and it was kind of wobbly, and it looked like probably it had been released recently by whatever agency or whatever. Maybe they were monitoring it, and my boyfriend's like wanting to go take a picture, and I'm like, what are you doing? Don't get any closer, you dummy, type thing. And then the other time was hiking up, near, in above Sacramento, up near Auburn or whatever, just hiking, and I saw, a bear just minding its own business, a young black bear, so go ahead. There's a reason why you're asking that,
correct,
right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So a lot of people say, like, if there's so many Bigfoot out there and, all over the place and stuff, nobody ever sees them. Well, you obviously have grown up and spent all this time in the woods, and people say, well, how many times have you seen a bear as well? So in all this time that you've been out in the woods and that, and camping and all these things, you've only seen 2 bears in all of this time. So
right.
It's, and we know there's hundreds of bears. There's probably like
a lot,
20 bears within, like a couple miles of any place that you've been, we'll just say, especially like out in these, out in whatever, Montana and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
I mean,
So,
you learn too, when you backpack, you be smart and have bear canisters and, whatever. You don't want to attract them, so yeah, I get it.
Yeah, so I just thought that was interesting, having your experiences and stuff of camping and that as much. So, all right, so back to your teleporting.
Okay.
I told you we'd come right back.
It's interesting because your story has a little bit of a similarity to mine. So I went to that area that I was telling you at Blue Sky near Savannah, and I went off trail in a different spot. Me and a friend did a little experiment where there was a bucket out there, and we put a bunch of branches in the bucket to see if the branches would move around or whatever, use that as see what would happen with that. So I went out there, and I just wanted to see if I could start hearing any owl sounds out there, like what kind of activity beyond me seeing, the tree manipulation or whatever. And so I was out there, and the sun was starting to go down, and I thought to myself, I had my animals with me again, and I was like, I want to order a pizza because I was going to get ready to leave, right?
I've thought that in the
So
woods many times.
I'm like, I'm about 20. I guessed that the walking back to the car and then the driving to the place would be about 20 minutes or so. So I ordered it, and then I got off the phone, and I didn't have a flashlight with me. I had my just my cell phone, and I started walking back to the trail. And I have been on this trail many times. There's only so many trails there. There's only like 3 or 4 separate trails that all kind of hook together. You can't really get lost out there. Okay. So I'm walking back towards the trail. I'm in like a forest setting, lots of pine trees or pine needles on the ground and leaves and just whatever, random oak trees and pine trees and whatever. So all of a sudden I felt like I don't recognize this section, but maybe it's because I veered a little left than where I came in off of the trail. Okay, let me tell you too that I'm thinking about this. You know how they talk about where people will see like a branch or just stabbed right into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was this like right off of the trail, and that's where I went off trail, was right where there was a stabbed branch stuck into the ground. So I was like, maybe I'm a little left of that. So I'm like, okay, I just didn't recognize some of these little trees that were there. And there were this pine tree where these pine boughs were hanging down. So I had my bird on my shoulder, and my dog was following along off leash. And I kind of ducked down under this low hanging pine bough. And there was like I was in this little section of really thick pine needles. And I'm like, okay, I think because it was now getting pretty dark. Okay. I was barely able, it was pretty dark out there. And I'm like, it should be that I can like go down underneath this next pine bough, and then the trail should be right there. And it was running perpendicular. Okay. So from left to right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I go back, I go underneath this next pine bough, and now I'm like, what the heck? There was no trail. There was no trail. It was just like open forest. There was just, and then there was this standing water, like almost swampiness. And then there was this down tree that was way bigger than any of the trees. It just didn't make any sense. It freaked me out. I'm like, what the heck? Where am I? How? I don't understand. Am I like way in a section that I've never been? How did this happen? What's going on? I started freaking out. I've never felt that in my entire life, all my years of life, like being outside. I have really good night vision. I can see where I am at. And I was trying to use my phone. It was just blinding me, so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to, turn off that. And I look to my left, and way off in the distance is the highway where I could see the road, and I could see car headlights going back and forth. I'm like, okay. And I even yelled out, help, and then I called my friend who I had told about this place. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I'm lost. I don't know what's happening. So I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to veer to the left, because that's where the parking lot was up there, and then the highway. Mm-hmm. I'm going to either get to the highway, or I'm going to get to the parking lot, trudging through this forest. And I kept going straight and veering to the left. And let me just, you know what I need to do is I want to do a video where I take like a satellite image of this forest so that you can like clearly see where I'm talking about, because this trail that I went in on, it kind of curves around, like does a U. It starts at the parking lot and curves around, and then it heads back and hits into the highway. So I finally get to the highway, and I don't know, I'm going to say it took me like 10 minutes. I'm not sure. When I came out onto the highway and I started heading left back to my car, I was on the right side of that trail. So it took me like it was like I was at least a quarter of a mile away from where I started. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a completely different part of the forest. It was, that has got to be, it is the most trippy experience that I have had so far. And I've had some pretty interesting experiences. You know, my animals were there too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. So it's got to be, I feel that there was an area of land that was like a portal,
Mm-hmm.
and that I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it. I don't know if they have the capability of sending people to different parts. So recently, I'm going to add a little bit to that, and then I want to hear what I'm going to hear your part. But I was recently watching the video of the 411
Mm-hmm.
where it's about the little kids.
Okay.
Okay. So there was this one where they show where he started in the forest. Then they sort of draw a line, like kind of like a satellite image, right, of the forest. That way over here is footprints of his. And then way over there is where I don't know where if his body was found or clothes or whatever. So maybe he teleported.
Mm-hmm.
How, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I how else can you explain where all of a sudden there's footprints of his way over there and then he's found way over there? So, anyways, that's it happened. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and what are you supposed to do with it? What are you supposed to do with that information? Like, you can start talking about it like how I am right now, so that people like can know like it is possible that that's part of what maybe how these people are traveling large distances from here to there, and something's found from here to there. So, and it was in the space where I was seeing lots of these tree manipulations and Sasquatch sort of related. I feel, I don't know, but anyway, so that's, let me hear your part. Go
All
ahead.
right. So we haven't really talked about like the Fae, like fairy and stuff like that at all in this
Yeah.
episode. But so my transportation experience was in the Burlington Woods as well, where we had talked about
Okay.
earlier.
Really?
And at the time, we had gone in. It would have been opening day of hunting season. Me and one of my
Okay.
other investigators went in, and we placed this trail camera that was kind of on a ridge overlooking a low valley that went down into a marsh, right?
Okay.
And so, kind of the same as yours, the Burlington Woods is like a big horseshoe, comes around, and there's two different parking lots and then a road that connects them.
Okay.
But it's really not that big. I mean, you can walk from one end to the other of the entire thing in like hour if you really
Yeah.
wanted.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was the day after Thanksgiving. We were going down there to meet with a different witness about something completely different, and we thought, okay, we're going to run in quick, grab the trail camera, take it out, and go. So it's at this point, if you know anything about like fairy and stuff like that, we're in the unseelie court. It's past the solstice, and we're in the dark fairy realm or whatever.
Oh,
So the
okay.
unfriendly fairies. And
Gotcha.
so we were not planning on spending a lot of time in the woods. Me and my two other investigators that went in, we were going to go straight in, grab the trail cam, head out, and be done with it. So we didn't leave M&Ms at the entrance like we usually do. We didn't do any of the normal
Yeah,
things.
you're just hurrying. Yeah.
Yep, just going in to grab the camera and head out. So what
Okay.
happened was, well, actually, two things happened that day. I went straight in down the trail, and it kind of curves, but straight for the trail.
Yeah.
And I went off trail to the left
Okay.
towards my trail camera. And I have GPS on my phone because I marked where the trail camera was so I could go back and get it and everything. So I'm looking at the trail camera on my phone, looking where I am on the phone this whole time because I'm trying to figure out where it was.
Yeah.
I went to the left, which would be parallel to the road. You can see cars driving on the road. Straight left all the way towards this trail camera, and I came back out on the same trail that I started on.
Whoa. Like
So
you did a loop.
somehow I did a complete 360 and came right back to the road. And not the
Wow.
road, the trail.
Yeah.
So I had
Oh,
gone, I
trippy.
had walked left and ended up coming right.
Okay. my God, so similar as mine. That is so trippy.
So
Yep.
the other thing is really interesting is I have a thermal imaging, a handheld thermal imager, right? And
Okay.
I was just kind of keeping an eye, walking around in there and stuff. If anything, because I mean, there's animals and stuff in the woods you don't want to run into in that, and or there's Bigfoot, Sasquatch out there, and we want to get evidence of that too. So when I did finally go back in and get the trail camera, I stuck the thermal imager in my pocket, and it's bulky. Like I have a hooded sweatshirt, so I can feel it.
Okay.
I got back to the car, and it was gone. So I went back into the woods, and like a lot of times you have experiences when you don't plan for them, or like things don't want to be caught on camera and stuff.
Okay.
And so I had
Yep.
already taken off all my, because we go in with GoPros and cameras and stuff and night vision and everything. And I
Hmm.
thought, you know what, I'm gonna run in and try and locate my thermal imager without any of this and see what happens. And
Okay. Yeah.
I've been in the woods enough. At this point, we'd been in there several times and
Yeah.
stuff. I'm not worried about it. So I went in with a big flashlight and walked in, and
Okay.
looking for the trail, or the, sorry, not the trail camera, the thermal imager.
Hmm.
And I got to this one point, which would have been like maybe 10, 15 feet, where I had turned left to go off trail into these woods. And I see this log. And again, remember, this is the day after Thanksgiving in Wisconsin. So it's, cold. I don't want to say it's like freezing, but there's no bugs out, there's no frogs, no animals like that out, running around.
Okay. Yeah.
And I see this glowing, like cat eye in this
Hmm.
log. So there's a fallen log with a hole in it, and at the top of that is this glowing, like marble sized cat eye or something.
Something.
And
Yeah.
I thought maybe it's my thermal imager, like it times out and turns off after a certain point, but maybe it's still on, maybe that's what's glowing here. So I stopped and I looked at it, and I got this like weird feeling, and I'd shine my light on it and shine it away, and it didn't like reflect. It wasn't a reflector. It was its own glow. And I didn't want to look away. I wanted to go towards it. I started moving towards it, and something moved to my right. And I was like, I better look at whatever's moving over here. And I
Yeah.
turned away, looked back, and that thing was gone.
Oh my gosh.
Whatever
Wow.
that light glowing orb
Wow.
was. Oh, and it had
Hmm.
changed colors as well. It went from, I can't remember anymore, it went from either green
Yeah.
to yellow or yellow to green, one way or the
Okay.
other. But it had
Wow.
changed colors while I'm looking at it. And I thought,
Interesting.
that was really weird.
Yeah.
So I was about 5 feet off trail at this time. I turned around, backed up, went on the trail, walked about another 5 feet down the trail, and my thermal imager was laying right at the edge of the trail.
Oh wow.
And to this
Nice.
day, I think that whatever took it, found it,
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Yep.
because we have this
Yep.
relationship with the woods there,
Mm-hmm.
that this thing is like, hey, look over here, look over here, look at me, I'm cool. Now here's your thing
Yes.
back, thanks for coming,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
because, like
Oh,
I
that's
said,
so cool. That's
I
so
walked
fun.
way off trail to try and
Love
get that
that.
trail camera back.
Yep.
And
Good for
that
you.
thermal imager could have been anywhere in there, and here it is just
Yep.
laying right there at the edge
Nice.
of the trail.
That's
So
nice. Did you say thank you?
I did, yeah.
Good job.
Yep.
That's great.
I did not. We had I don't know if it was on the podcast or before this, but we were talking about saying thank you to all the stuff there. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, like we didn't talk about fae and stuff, but you're not supposed to say thank you to fae creatures. You're
Who
sp-
says?
what's that?
Who says?
It's in fae mythology. It's in like
Okay.
fairy folklore and stuff,
What if you're
because
just saying thank
you
you to
can
the
say
space?
I appreciate you. I appreciate you letting me come in. I appreciate
I'm going
you.
to tell you, like, in my entire life, I've had very good feedback with saying thank you in general.
Well, there could be a reason for that. According to mythology and stuff, saying thank you indebts you to the Fae. So you possibly could have indebted yourself to some of these creatures, and that's why obviously you're getting good results, because you're in their debt then.
I see it like a reciprocity
Hmm.
with my studies of shamanism, of listening to energy, or not energy, medicine people discussing, sharing this information, that, it's like a win-win. I'm saying thank you to you, and you're helping me in some way, right? And so, but I have learned that there are certain places you do not want to leave things. Like it's a leave no trace kind of place, and that you don't want to do that. And so you learn that from asking, is it okay if, and so that's part of discernment too, and so like at Chaco Canyon, that is a place that I learned that you do not want to leave, because what I've learned is you take a hair, like I pull out a hair out of the back of my neck, like I have really long hair, and I pull my hair out, a couple of hairs, and I place it near a tree or something, and I say, thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you. I love it here. This is amazing. I really appreciate it, this kind of thing. But at Chaco Canyon, I was telling the ranger about this, and the ranger, she's actually a descendant of the ancient Chaconians, and she's like, oh, do not do that here. This is not a place to do that. I'm like, oh my God, thank you for telling me. Thank you for sharing. People do not have to tell you. And thank you for telling me. And so I did my best to honor the space in whatever way that land, those non-physicals appreciated. And then on my way leaving that, it's a big Indian reservation on where Chaco Canyon is. And there's a couple roads in and out. And I was really low on gas, like really low. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to get out of here? It was like 10 miles away to the next gas station. And like the amount of gas I had in my car wasn't going to make it. And so I got to the place at a stop sign, like where it was like, either I go left and just head out and go through the road through the reservation that leads to town, or I see if I have to go right and just, please, does anyone have a can of gas, type thing. And I was sitting there in the truck wondering what to do. And all of a sudden it was like I received this message, like, go left, enjoy yourself, look around you, you're going to make it. That's kind of like the feeling and the knowing that I got. And I'm like, okay. So I drove. I made myself not look at the gas gauge. And I just looked around and enjoyed myself. And I made it to the gas station on literally no gas. Okay. Like no gas. Like I shouldn't have made it. Like it wasn't possible. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So then I felt this presence, like meaning like a feeling of goodness, of euphoric vibration, like across the states as I traveled, and was told, don't look at your phone, just go old school. Remember the days when you never had cell phones and you just were able to travel from here to there? Do it. Enjoy yourself. And I listened, and I'm like, my battery wasn't working, and I put down my phone, and somehow with it plugged in, but it wasn't working, it still charged my phone somehow, so there's these reciprocities of, doing your best, because they know you're trying. You've been around people that are socially awkward. They don't mean to do it. They don't mean to say the wrong thing, but that they're trying. So, that's what I have to say about that. Again, you're coming from a negative standpoint, and I'm not in that realm at all. I'm in the positive realm. I'm in the realm of connecting in really high ways. And like, I don't pay attention to those lower things. I don't, you know what I mean? So mm-hmm. I just want to make sure to mention that if you're in the right place, if you're coming from the right place, if you have good intentions, if you're pure thought and, wanting to do nice things, whether that's like literally going to a powwow and learning how to be at a powwow, you can learn the rules, like don't do this and do that. And then if those people see you participating as best as you can, they're going to appreciate that, even if you accidentally do the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. So that's what I have to say about that.
Well, I didn't mean it by like not being appreciative and stuff. It's just the
No, I know what
phrasing
you
and
meant.
stuff. Yeah. So
I know what you meant.
yeah, we definitely
Yeah.
do go in with that feeling of respect and thankfulness and everything, but it's how we communicate as far as of those certain areas. But
I knew what you meant.
okay,
Yeah,
good.
that's cool. I
Cool.
have been, I haven't, I've seen what is considered like a fairy light, where you see a flash of a light, which either could be a fairy light or like an angel light. I've seen that before. In an area of Georgia, a state park called Skidaway State Park, where I saw the being of light. It's also an area where the ancient people lived, where the settlers were there. There's paleontology there. There's history there. The Civil War soldiers were preparing for the war. Like lots of different things on the land there, and it's a very special land. And I was walking out there in a specific area on the trail, and it was a really gentle, breezy like day. And I went from, it was kind of like where all of a sudden it's like you're in a specific um, geography of landscape, where it was like these lower shrubs of like tropically looking palmettos and, type plants and, oak trees around, to then it transitioning to like a pine forest. So I got from the palmetto to the pine forest, and in my mind's eye, or like the feeling or like the sensing of out of on the right side of off trail in the forest, this separate like wind kind of started towards me, like you can imagine like how a fish moves in water,
Mm-hmm.
or a snake, this sort of movement, this movement that a fish will make as they swim. Do you know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying?
The
So
undulating.
this, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
undulating. So this wind kind of came, a separate wind came to me, and it wrapped around me 3 times. And then it went phew back into the forest. And I was like, oh my God, wow, thank you. Hi, type thing. And I talk about that and describe it as best as I can. I videoed out there. I went to the spot and I said, right around here is where this, separate, like, I don't know, connecting with the connecting with the element of wind, or connecting with a sprite, or a spirit of the wind, or whatever you want to call it. But when you have these experiences, you're having them.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if other people have never had it. It doesn't matter if they believe you or not. When you have an experience, it is real. You are having it, and you know what I'm saying?
I do. Mm-hmm.
So it's really fun, so I let's say if I would have, I didn't know the background of the woods. Doesn't matter. Just I'm open for, super connecting with nature, and I'm getting to have these different experiences. It's really fun to have the experiences with your own self, not necessarily with equipment, or
Mm-hmm.
distracting yourself with taking pictures. I mean, that's fun and all. I'm just not that into it. I don't need to show anyone,
Mm-hmm.
because if you're seeing it with your own eyes, that's good enough. You don't need to prove I don't need to prove it to anyone. It's not going to matter.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if they were to walk right up to you. Those people who don't believe it, they're not going to believe you. They want to not believe. So who cares? You know?
It's really interesting. Like you're talking about like not looking at everything through your camera and stuff like that, and like a lot of we've gotten some like bad feedback on our YouTube show and stuff because of the way that we do it. Um, like everyone says, well, we don't like the way you film with GoPros and stuff. Like it's bad cameraing or whatever. But the to your point, when we go out into the woods, we're not there to make a
Yeah.
TV show. We're there to experience it and do our own thing and do our research and be there in the moment. And these cameras, we have them on our head or our chest or wherever, is just to
Yeah.
record it so that
Okay.
we can go and make the show off of this because this is really what happened. I mean, when
Mm-hmm.
we go out and say, oh, we had an encounter with Bigfoot or this or whatever, I'm not here to tell you that. I'm just here to show you this is what happened, you know,
Okay. Right.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever we feel. But we're out there
Right.
doing this in the moment
Yeah.
and experience it and being there. And if you're trying to make a TV show and make this whatever, you're not getting those experiences, you know. So
Okay.
I get what you're saying, yeah.
Well, way before, I didn't, when I was a kid and growing up, before all these shows, I didn't know that Ed and Lorraine Warren had already been doing all the investigating and doing all this stuff for many, many years. I had no idea. So it had already been documented. Things have already been documented for a very, very, very long time. Things have already been proven through scientific methods for a very, very long time. But there's like 97% of what reality is way beyond that. So just because, and then at some point in time, a human decided what the scientific method is, and then that is what means something is real, and it's not true. Like that's just not true. Um so then, I just have always known, like, the experiences that I have had are real, and it doesn't matter. I don't have to. I just didn't have it in my mind to have any of this wanting to prove it, and then when people like prove it, prove it, it's like, I don't have to, like, like, I'm not here to prove anything. Like, I like talking. It's like-minded conversation is super fun.
Hmm.
Like, oh, let me hear your story, like, and then sharing, like, people who want to learn, people who want to, like, have experiences. This is what you do and this is what you don't do. And it's fun. It's fun to teach and to, discuss, you know what I mean? So I remember, to me, I think it was in the 90s, no, like the early, no, I don't know, sometime in the 90s, where there was this show called Sightings or something that came out, which was one of the first show where they would document a person having a paranormal experience in this house, where this guy was like raising up his shirt and going, look, I'm getting scratched right now. It was at somewhere over on the East Coast, where there was a farmhouse where this family was having paranormal activity. That was the first that I can remember of, like, where this idea of filming and documenting, all that kind of stuff for whatever, what do you call it? Gathering information or gathering evidence or whatever. It's just not something that I've been into. I like being with people who are also having experiences. That's fun. I like being the person who's just there, having me be the, the experience. Not, I think the spirit box is interesting. I've been able to have some amazing back and forth sort of little one-liner, question or comment, and then they respond back to you on the spirit box. That's pretty fun. That's pretty neat. Do you guys ever use a spirit box out there?
We
Or where you
do.
go?
We actually have adopted the Estes method. So that's where the person that is operating the spirit box has noise canceling headphones
Oh yeah, I
and
know what you're talking about. Yeah.
the blinder on and stuff, and then they'll speak what's coming out of the box, and the other people will ask
Yeah,
questions.
I've done that. I've done that too. I like knowing what's going on. I like participating with the actual, I like knowing what's going on. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've experienced both. Yeah. I mean, it's really neat, like, when you're commenting or saying something, and then all of a sudden the spirit will, like, respond,
Mhm.
to you. Like, and I'm seeing that more and more, out there now on YouTube, people, asking questions to, that person, or, coming through to answer questions and stuff like that. My first beginnings of the spirit box was in 2006, when I was in Southern California. Actually, Bill Murphy had, it was called Frank's Box. This
Yep.
guy Frank, who designed it, and so was blown away by this way. And so when you're at a location and you're, talking to out just to the air, and then they respond to you. Like I remember I was working as a sort of a guide at this place called the Gribble House Paranormal Experience in Savannah, where we would take people into this warehouse, and there was a scent. Like I was with a group of people that were on the tour, and there was this scent following us. It smelled like a wet dog, and we were all like smelling each other, going, "Is that you? Is that me?" Like, nope, nope, nope. And so we went into an area where it was called the slaves' quarters, and I said, "Okay, you smell. You move away from us now. Okay, go away. You smell." And then something like that. And all of a sudden, this man's voice on the spirit box says, "Reek." It's so funny. And then in another spot where I was at the end of the that particular tour with the groups of people, I was with these two girls that were on the tour, and I was just saying, "Thank you for having me here. I really appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to getting to know you." And I was talking to the spirits because I had seen some apparitions. I'd heard whistling and, mumbles and stuff like that. And so I was saying, "Thank you so much for, participating with me and letting me be here." And this woman's voice said, "Welcome." So it's really neat when you're able to be listening. And then, so it's, to me, more confirming when you're the one, instead of having to find out what was said later. I don't really see the point of the person having their ears covered, and just, what is the point of that for you guys? Why do you do it like that? Tell me. I want to hear that side of it.
So the reason why we do it that way is because sometimes we believe that people hear what they want to hear out of the spirit box. So by putting this block in between the person asking the questions and the person listening, when I wear the headphones, I only repeat what I hear out of the spirit box or what's being said. So when the person asks a question like, "Hi, is anyone with us?" And then I say, "I'm here," I didn't hear the question of what was being asked, but I heard, "I'm here." So it takes away the whole aspect of just hearing what you think they're saying. You say, "Well, are you here?" And they don't say anything, or it's static or something, but you hear, "I'm here."
Right.
Now, did you really hear that, or are you assuming that that's what you wanted to hear?
Yeah.
But
that's this, like when, I get you.
With the blinders there, it works a lot better that way. So.
Okay. I can see that. Yeah, that makes sense, because sometimes, like when you're listening to people, their spirit box sessions, and you hear what you hear, and then they will have on with words what they think it said. I'm like, that's not what I got at all. Exactly. Like, you're just putting that together to make that be a story or something, Yes.
And the cool thing is our spirit box actually lets you record. So if we want, we can record the actual audio out of the spirit box.
Oh, that's cool.
And then we can play back their questions, my answers of what I said, and the actual spirit box itself. So you have all three that you can, compare notes and stuff. So that's really cool.
Okay. Yeah, there's a couple that does that. And so I tried it out, and then, she likes doing that, and she has good results with that. But I said, you should also try doing it the other way, and just listening. Because then you can, have, because it's the stuff I'm talking about. It's very clear. It's literally, it's very clear. Like I say, "Thank you," and they say, "Welcome." It's like, and then other than that, you're hearing blah, 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 blah.
I find it very relaxing and kind of meditative too, because
I like the spirit box. Yeah,
you just let yourself relax and just listen. And it's very meditative, and sometimes, like, you can see things, like these images pop into your head, and when I'm doing the Estes session and stuff, I will convey those. I'll say, "I see this," and point to myself, "I see this, I feel this," along with what I'm hearing.
There you go.
So
I like that.
We've gotten a lot of good results running it that way. So.
Okay, so now let's talk about some apparitions stuff.
Sure.
We have some time.
We have a little bit of time left. Yep, I have another interview at 3 o'clock. So.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why I want to talk about the specifics because I think it's important.
Mm-hmm.
It's an important aspect to the ghost or the spirit's experience of us. Okay.
Okay.
So in 2000, I don't know when it was like 2002 or 2003, somewhere in there. I was living in a cabin house in the Santa Cruz Mountains, in more like the Los Gatos Mountains, like people who know that area, where it's like there's this border of like up in the redwood trees, where it's like, where's the line? Where's the Los Gatos Mountains versus the Santa Cruz Mountains? Whatever, it's up there. And it was on 72 acres of land, and it was an amazing property that I rented this little house that was just the last remaining cabin from when it was a resort in the early 1900s. Lots of history there too. A lot of Native American, the Ohlone Indian territory. I found arrowheads like right out in front of my house in the dirt. One of those bowls and the pestle
Pestle.
things, together. And then the history of the land and all these different histories there. Okay, so um, this these so I woke up in the middle of the night. This is what kind of started it. I woke up in the middle of the night to myself sitting up in bed, and that was the first that I can remember of doing that. It was like I opened my eyes and I'm already sitting up, and as I open my eyes, my eyes quickly have to focus because like standing right out in front of me of my bed, like right next to, at the foot of my bed, is a little boy and a lady, a woman, like a young woman, and they're dressed in really nice clothes from the early 1900s. And I couldn't believe my eyes. They were like solid. They were completely like two humans standing there. And they were in their own experience. Okay. I was like witnessing them having their own experience. Like they were just standing around. The little boy was about, I'm going to say it was about 9 or 8, 9. And the lady, I don't know if she would have been like maybe his mom, a young mom, or an older sister. I don't know. I don't know. It was just these two people standing.
Mm-hmm.
He was in front of her a little bit. So I felt like I was looking into another time. That's what I felt. And so I just stared and stared. I could not get enough. I was like, wow. And then after whatever time frame, 30 seconds, a minute, I'm not sure, they just dissipated and were gone. And I was like, huh. And then I just laid back down and went to sleep. I don't know how I did that, but so then I don't know if it was a couple days later or a week later. I don't remember. I was on the couch out in the family room. I fell asleep on the couch and I was laying on my side, on my left side. And so in the middle of the night, out of the blue, I've had this many times where, and many people do, this is a common thing. You get woken up out of the sleep for no apparent reason. Like there's a shift in the energy or something. And then I open my eyes and they're standing in front of me about, I don't know, let's say 8 feet. I'm not sure, somewhere 6 to 8 feet out in front of me. And so the way that my head was laying down on my hands or on the couch, my eyes looked out. And so I saw, let's say from the waist down of the lady, and the boy was standing in front of her again. And this time he moved. He literally did this thing where he like leaned down to try to make eye contact with my eyes. And I was like, oh, like that. I was like, oh, he moved. Oh, shit. And I felt like I startled. And there was this sort of quick recovery. Like, for some reason, I was like, I didn't want him to know that I noticed him type thing. I don't know why. I just kind of pretended like I didn't see him. And I turned over and somehow I was able to just go right back to sleep. Okay. So then a couple days after that, I'm not sure, a week, don't know, Same thing. He'll sleep on the couch. I open my eyes, and this time he's like, I don't know, like what? Like, where's my, can you see my hand?
Yes.
Like, how far away is this from my face, would you say? Like,
Looks like maybe a foot.
Okay. His face is that close to my face. Like, he's looking at me like, what the heck? Like, he's got his eyes sort of squinted, like, what the heck? So I open my eyes, and there's this little boy staring at me like, what the heck? And I felt like I jumped like 3 feet in the air. And I turned around and just went back to sleep. But here's the thing. What was he seeing? This is what I want to bring here to this. Like, this is kind of part of my journey, of my development, and like what I want to learn is, and what I've been kind of taking on is this knowing that they are seeing something too. When there's like he's aware, he's conscious, who is he? What is he seeing of me? Is he seeing me hovering in midair? Is he only seeing my face? You know what I mean? This is what is so fascinating to me about one of these top experiences that I've had in my life, where there was this interactiveness to it. And so, what do you think? Tell me what you think about that.
I have no idea. I've kind of given some thought to that, as far as like, some people believe like there's like a time distortion. So the things that we're seeing as ghosts or apparitions are actually a past time that's overlaid in the same area. So in that case,
exactly.
In that case, these apparitions or whatever are seeing us.
Yep.
But here's an interesting thought: is whenever, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, but we always talk in my group, Cryptids Anomalies Paranormal Society, we always talk about like, you never see modern ghosts or futuristic ghosts, so if this time slip is happening where we're seeing these period clothes, you never hear reports of people back in period time seeing us.
Well, I here it is, mine.
Okay.
He saw me.
Oh,
he saw me.
Yeah.
Okay. So he's seeing into the future then.
Right.
He was seeing into the future.
But when
I don't know, it's trippy.
When we're researching this stuff and reading the books and these accounts and hearing these stories and stuff, I mean, granted, like you can look at like cave drawings or the Egyptians and stuff that claim to have these, they have these drawings on the
UFO
walls of possibly like people holding cell phones and stuff like that. So maybe they're seeing future stuff. But I don't know. Like nowadays, we're not seeing these, are we? Maybe that's what we're considering as UFOs or something. Is we're seeing ghosts of the future.
Possibly, yeah. And here's another one that I want to add to that is, I was living, was like house sharing this house, and my room was the most active place I've ever been. And I think that the sons that had lived there, I think they had used the Ouija board. I think that there was a portal in my room and an exit and an entrance. And I would see things in there. I felt the most EBGB feeling in that room. And then I also had one of the most amazing, wonderful experiences in this room. And so I was on this episode called Stalked by a Ghost, and I talk about this kind of stuff. But the thing I want to tell you is that I same thing. I was sleeping. I wake up and I look over, and there's a guy standing in my room, like this good-looking guy, and he was probably like in his mid to later 30s, and he was wearing like a button-down shirt and shorts. Like I imagine like what you would wear if you're about to go to like a nice outdoor get-together at like a barbecue or a pool party or something like that. And he was looking at me, and I was looking at him, and I was amazed at this. It was a good feeling that came from him, but there was something that I felt was something unique about him that I was trying to understand. Why was he there? Like it was as if he came to visit with me for some reason. And so over the years, as I've wanted to understand this and hear different people's possibilities of things, last year I was able to talk to a woman who was able to connect with this man. And he is a soulmate. And he was coming to check in on me. And he was startled that I was able to see him. So in his moments of him, the way he was looking at me and I was looking at him, he was taken aback a little bit because he wasn't expecting me to be able to see him. And so I learned a lot about this man. Like, I'd been wanting to know, who is he? Who is he? Who is he? And like, I was right. He was about to go to a pool party. Like, he was like, whatever. I don't know, like the way that works. I don't have all the answers, right? Like, but so it gave me some answers of that, some verification or confirming, like, of me thinking I'm like just pulling out of the air. Like, he looked like he was about to go to a pool party or a barbecue, and he was. So anyway, so there's just different things that are going on that there isn't just earthbound spirits. There isn't just, there's these different things that are going on. And I've been, gaining knowledge, is learning as much as I can throughout the years. So, because it's so fascinating.
Mm-hmm. When you were talking about that, I started thinking, so if you can raise your vibration and like go on like astral projection journeys and stuff, or remote view in that, if the person that you're remote viewing or astral projecting to see, if they're at a similar vibrational level as you, it's possible that you could see them, and you're interpreting these as ghosts, when really it's somebody that's actually watching you.
Interesting that you say that, because that's what I thought at first. I thought it was possible that it was someone that I know that had died. I thought it was because this person came to visit me a week before this other person died. So I thought maybe this guy was astral projecting to me. Yeah, because he wanted to see me. But he didn't look at all like this other guy. But, I was trying to put it together. Yeah, I was trying to make sense. Well, maybe he decided to project himself looking like that, whatever. But and so I talked to this woman and told her all these things. And she's like, no, it wasn't him. It wasn't Dave. This is this other person. And he's been with you for you guys have been together many lifetimes, and you check in on each other and this sort of thing. So in this instance, I got to learn from her that no, it wasn't Dave astral projecting, but that is what I was wondering at first. Yes. And
maybe the little boy that came to check on you was him as a younger self.
I think it was completely different people. I don't think there was a correlation between those two at all. But, it's definitely definitely done my thinking about all this stuff too, for sure. The interest in all this. Yeah. It's pretty neat how these things come together.
Very cool. Well, we're almost out of time. I do want to touch on one more thing. You have had a UFO encounter.
Yes.
Okay. I would like to hear that yet.
Okay. So, yeah. After I had this experience, I started really, really looking at the sky. Let me tell you, even more. I grew up staring at the stars ever since I was a kid. When you go out camping and I love the night sky. I've seen some amazing celestial things, shooting stars and interesting, like, sparkler looking things coming out of the air, meteorites, all that stuff. So it wasn't like, the first time me staring up at the sky, but so, it was in 86 or 87. And there is actually a newspaper article about what I'm talking about. So it was on a Tuesday, and I was, my boyfriend was he was getting ready to drive me home. It was about 10 at night. And so he pulls backwards out of the driveway. We were in a suburbs, not far from like the neighborhood over from where I grew up in Saratoga. And so he starts down the street, and he was going slow. He was going like 5-10 miles per hour, passing by houses on each side. And all of a sudden, I happened to notice up in the sky, through the windshield, that there is a hovering craft like above a pine tree. Okay. You know how in the, like, let's say a neighborhood, helicopter, like a low flying helicopter, like a news helicopter just flying by, just checking out the neighborhood. They can be flying pretty low. Okay. So it was that height. So let's say a pine tree and then a half. So it was pretty low in the sky. Okay. I'm not talking about, I just saw light and that was it. Mm-hmm. It was like right there. It was above these houses, just hovering. And I'm like, oh my God, what's that? And he looks, and he wanted to drive closer. And I'm like, don't get closer. It's like imagining a beam was going to come down, and, I don't know, like, it's hard to wrap the mind around. Like when you're, all you've known about this is it's on in the movies, and then all of a sudden you're witnessing it with your own eyes. It's just a trip. So he's like, I just want to like drive past so I can try to see the other angle. I'm like, okay, I get you. Okay. So it was like, I'm going to say a round object, bigger, a little bigger than, let's say,
when you say round, do you mean round like a sphere, like a ball?
Yes.
Or round like a disc?
A ball. Good question. Good question. Like a ball, like a big ball in the sky that was the size of a helicopter, I guess. I'm trying to, as best I can, to describe the shape and the size. And it was like, I don't know if the outside of it was spinning, or if it was just these lights on it that were spinning, or if it was that they were just changing color as it would go around the perimeter of this circular object. It's like red and blue or whatever. Okay. And so it was literally like hovering, like where you could see it sort of like moving slightly. And then it sort of shifted from being above this one house to sort of moving like a house or two down. And at some point, a helicopter did fly near it. Okay. So someone was in that helicopter, I'm guessing, unless these were two remote controlled things. I don't know. I'm not saying it couldn't have been just government stuff. I don't know. I don't know what it was. Okay. So it's hovering. We sat there watching. And I don't know how much time went by. I'm going to say about 20 minutes. I'm not sure. And then all of a sudden, here it was hovering in the same spot. It shot from 0 to like 1,000 in a second, across the sky, like Star Trek. And I was watching it go. I could see it moving through the sky at a zillion miles per hour through the sky, and then was gone. I was like, oh my God, what the hell was that? So we were blown away. Okay. Because he was with me during that experience, and he was also with me through some, spirit experiences in his house. So we got to have a couple experiences together. So we told his mom about it, and she showed us the news article. It was in the newspaper the next day. It said, light above Saratoga returns. And then the beginning of the article was like, second Tuesday in a row, this light above Saratoga was seen. No one knows who it, Moffett Field doesn't know anything. San Jose Airport doesn't know anything. This type of, talk. And then it had somehow, whoever this person who wrote this article, interviewed some different people, and the person interviewed a student at the local college that she saw the light, and she went out of her class to go use the bathroom or whatever, and she ended up laying down on the grass to watch this thing for the forever long she saw it. So other people saw it. And then I've learned since that that area is a lot of people have seen UFOs, like big ones, multiple ones. There's a site you can go on and report your sighting in this area. So that was like a big experience for me, up close. I'm going to tell you when I was in Montana in 2020, there was a night where I had heard that they had launched a lot of satellites at once. I had heard about that from some people that were staying at the RV park that I was at. So I happened to see them. I happened to see like a bunch of satellites just together, and I was like, and it kind of annoyed me. I'm like, oh my God, why now there's the sky is just going to be filled with satellites, So then a little later in the night, and this is like, I'm telling you, it's hard for me to wrap my mind around what I saw. Okay. But this is what I saw. I happened to look up in the sky in an area that is above this mountain range. And for just a flash, I don't know if you've seen, like when you're watching a satellite, you can see it for a minute, like, or a second, because it's like the reflection off of light, and then you don't see it anymore. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Kind of, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden I saw this craft, this, I don't know, something in the sky that was beyond a size that I can really comprehend. It was huge. It was like seeing something in the movies, like where I really could only see the outline of it. And it was like not round. It wasn't sphere. It was more like a kind of rectangular, long, but also wide, but not completely geometrically patterned. Like there was a sort of a shape that didn't have exact sides, and I don't know how else to explain it. My eyes, I was like, wow, that's just too much. What did I just see? Mm-hmm. So that's, but there's that, seeing something in the sky. Okay. And I've talked to Wendy Garrett. She has a lot of experiences with like ET stuff, and she's very into that, interviews a lot of people who have their own experiences. She has her experiences, what she calls the night lights, where the lights will, with a night light or different lights will flicker and like communicate with her. And she's been interacted with when they'll come into her room, and, other people have had experiences like that. So I had an experience where I woke up in the middle of the night, and I've had it many times where I will see an object, a floating something, or something that I'm seeing, and then it'll kind of dissipate and go away. So this night I saw, it looked like a laser beam pointed at me from the door. Like it was on a tripod, and it had like this apparatus, like a laser beam thing, like machine thing, pointed at me. And I was like, what the heck? And then it disappeared. And my eyes are open. I'm not sleeping. I'm awake. Mm-hmm. And then later in the night, I open my eyes in the middle of the night, and I look up, and there's a giant orb, like the size of a volleyball. And it's like, I don't remember if it was like an orange color, and it moved from horizontally from, behind me to in front of me. And then I fell back to sleep. And then I opened my eyes again a little later. And then there's this giant orb the size of a volleyball, like a different color, and it moved from like left to right. So I've talked to her. she thinks it's possible that they're doing their own way of communicating with me or checking me out, or who knows. So that's really, those are, some of my experiences where, and then after I noticed this UFO, and I, for years after, I could be outside and I will notice farther up where you only see like a light and there's no sound, and it's traveling at a different speed than the aircraft that's, the flight patterns in this that are from the San Jose airport or the San Francisco airport. And one time I saw like two whatever objects, crafts, flying next to each other with just this one light, and it's no sound, and then they start kind of moving apart from each other in the sky. So I've seen things like that. And one time I was with my dad. I'm like, Dad, look. We were walking the dog outside, and it was this light where it was high enough, but not like a satellite, lower than a satellite, lower than a jet airplane, but not as low as a helicopter. And I'm like, look, Dad. And it's like he looked up and he just wouldn't participate with me. He just looked down and just went about his life.
I don't want to see that.
I don't see that. I'm like, okay, whatever. But he knows me. I've had so many experiences in my life that he actually is the one that told me about this casting call for this like reality show back in 2013, of where they were looking for people who've had a lot of, specific type of ghost experiences or spirit experiences. I couldn't believe it that he was like kind of acknowledging my connection with the paranormal in that way. So really cool. He knows I have experiences, at least.
Some people just don't want to admit their experiences. Like I come across a lot this people, they come up to you and they go, you believe in ghosts? Yeah, I research them and stuff.
It's more than belief. It's a knowing.
Yep.
Right?
And then they go, well, I don't believe in any of that stuff, that paranormal stuff, but I was out hunting in the woods this one time, and there was this bear walking by on two. Oh, really? A bear? Yeah. But you don't believe in ghosts? No, there's no such thing as ghosts. There's no such thing as Bigfoot either. But this one time, yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Everybody's got stories. They just
That's so weird.
Don't want to talk about them.
Well, you know what? That's kind of like what I know, that my evolvement with realizing what I saw, because we are trained and programmed things since we were little. This is what reality is, and the other stuff isn't. It's make believe. And so when you see something, it sometimes takes your mind a time to really realize what you saw. Mm-hmm. And so it happens a lot, I think. Mm-hmm. You're just, you hear people, oh, it's just my imagination. And it's like, your imagination doesn't work that way. It's not how your imagination works. It's like, you saw that with your own eyes. You did, for real. It really happened. Yep. And, with my realizing that I saw a partially manifested Bigfoot, it is true. It happened. And I feel that it was done in a way to be gentle with me. Like, I don't want to freak you out, but when I think about it, the size of this being, a ginormous figure so it's given me time to process over the years these experiences, So yeah, that guy just isn't ready yet. Mm-hmm. But why would he even mention it? You know what I mean? Like, why would he even bring it up?
Yep.
It's like there's a part of him that does want to believe.
Verification through just kind of maybe. What do you think this was? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, we're good. Yeah.
Yeah. You never know.
I want the truth, but I'm not ready for it. Kind of like you said. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty neat. Fun stuff.
Cool.
Thanks for talking with me. This has been fun.
Definitely. Yeah. You too. So you do energy work and stuff and remote healing and that. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you,
yes,
for your help or just to talk more about you, how could someone reach you?
Yeah. So I would say to email me at excellenttricia@gmail.com, and that's excellent, EXCELLENTTRICIA @gmail.com. So email me. You can also find me on Facebook, Tricia Brown, Free Spirit. That's like how it'll pull my name up. And my picture right now is, it says something like, um, I'm having a rainbows and unicorns kind of day, because I'm like the rainbows and unicorns person. I would rather be, let's all just talk about rainbows and unicorns, let's all be happy, like yeah, I mean, this type of work is something that I've been practicing, developing the abilities of this. It's a combination of distance healing with color and sound therapy. So what I do is I can be in wherever I am, in my room, in my space, and the person is literally in their own house, in whatever state or country that they are in, laying down, listening to some peaceful music, and just receiving. And they breathe and relax and just allow the healing. And what I do, how it started off is, I started asking people who are already energy workers, mediums, Reiki people, anyone that understands this work, or has been having their own experiences forever. Let me do this on you, and then you give me feedback. And every single person has been like, oh yeah, I felt it. These are my experiences. And then it's not just about, the point isn't just about feeling it. It's about that these energy shifts happen, like trapped energy, old memories, not fun experiences, not fun thoughts are trapped in your body. Or if you want movement in your life, like you're like, I really want for my business to, improve, so it's a combination of like doing the work, like, what do you want done? What do you want? What's the intention that you would like for this session? And then we talk about it. And so, I mean, this is where, when somebody's interested in this, they would call me and we would talk about it so that they completely understand what's going on, what this is about. And then I say, okay, we're going to set up a time. You're going to, make sure that you have about an hour and a half of uninterrupted time where no one's going to be distracting you, that you can just super focus and, absorb this. And we can have a conversation afterwards. When it's about 45 minutes a session, I use tuning forks to reharmonize each chakra, the 7 chakras in the body. And I'm also toning with my voice, the A, E, I, and then these different, Ra and Ah, these different tones that correspond to the areas of the body, of the energy centers. And then I use this, what's called a pomander spray, which is a very special, I don't want to say concoction or tincture, or, the properties of each individual sprays. I spray it in my hand, and then I breathe it into my own aura. And I've also done some sort of pre-calling in the energies, archangel energy, and different very high beings of the light will come in, and also their spirit guides, their helpers will be there with them too. And then the energy comes through me and goes out my hands, the color, to the specific areas of the body that I know to go to, that I'm intuiting to go to, because of what they are telling me is going on in their body. Sometimes it's physical problems. And then also my background in my spiritual study school, realizing I can see it. I can see into the body. I can visualize the body. I can visualize, like in the old days when we would watch, at school, the movie strips of watching cells divide and watching the blood flow through the body. I can visualize this stuff. So I teach people this stuff too. Like, you can help your own body by visualizing that you have pink tissue and that your heart is pumping right and you're talking to your organs and this kind of thing. So I take notes while I'm doing this. Like I will be guided, focus the energy here. And so what I do is they'll be in their house, laying on their bed or wherever they want to lay down and just be relaxing and breathing. And I imagine that I'm in front of them doing this work because I started off learning to do it literally in front of a person, right there on a massage table. But I was like, I bet that a person could have a better experience without having to listen to me going, in the air. Because they're like, what is she doing? Right. So they don't have to hear any of that stuff. So I can, let's say if they say, women's reproductive things, right? But I'm like, okay, well, that's the spleen chakra area. So I'm not only going to put my hand on top of their body around where that area is, I'm also going to be able to put my hand under their body because I imagine that they're hovering in midair in front of me. So I could literally be anywhere and use the space as my doing my session. Like if you're imagining having your own time in a massage room, it's a very sacred space. I tell people to wear either white or light clothes. I wear white or light clothes. I make sure that I'm in a good space before I start. So 45 minutes, I pick up whatever I pick up, good stuff, things to help them in their lives and part of what's going on. And then I call them and I say, set your alarm, because if you fall asleep, I want you to be able to hear me when I call you, but I want you to turn your everything down because I don't want somebody chiming you or the phone to ring or whatever. And then I ask for their feedback. And so I have gone from just working on people who already know what I'm talking about to people that want help, that are open for it, and then teaching them what I'm doing, understanding that you have to change what you're thinking. You have to change your beliefs. Like you need some new beliefs sometimes. You need to be thinking better thoughts, more positive thoughts, helping yourself to be in a better vibration. So energy will leave the body in different areas of the body. And then I say, I want you to take notes. I want you to not just, this isn't a circus act, this is real. And I want you to monitor. I want you to document your journey from day one of this moment here and pay attention to your life transpiring in the direction of what you're wanting with this. So it's deep work. It's really deep soul work. And that's, so if you want to be people, I can laugh and joke and have fun, but this is important stuff. And so part of it, when you listen to other people, other shamans or other energy people, energy medicine people, or people that are helping others, they will say, don't really tell people, don't tell anyone that people who don't believe, because they will try to talk you out of it. And then it could make you start doubting it. And then you can just bring the energy right back. And then you also have to teach them, maybe I'm not going to tell you what I picked up on, because I don't want you to know, because I don't want you to be all in your head about it. And then you bring it right back. So you're releasing, just, let I call it like a carbonation bubble. An emotion will come up. Good. It's ready to go. Let it. You all of a sudden feel sad or you feel angry. That's just that it's like you take a spoon and you're stirring the bottom of the stuff that's, the bottom of a bucket, right? Like all the leaves and the dirt is down at the bottom. And then you start churning it. All that stuff's going to come up. Mm-hmm. So you just got to let it go. Let it leave. I don't know why I'm angry about this. And well, it's just, it's not attached to anything. It's just ready to leave. So you're letting it leave your body, and then it can transmute, into the light and be freed. So that's kind of the gist. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have more questions, please have, feel free to have whoever's interested. We can talk more about it. And my schedule is starting to actually have some where we'd have to like really look at the calendar and pick times to do this because I have stuff going on.
Oh, yeah. Sounds good. Well, we will definitely put all that information in the show notes, and you said that you had a website coming soon, possibly too, so forward me that, and we'll add that and get that out for everyone. So
thanks.
Yep.
It's been fun.
And we'll also put your YouTube where you got more stories on there for everyone to check out. And,
perfect.
I really appreciate you taking the time and chatting with us today.
Thank you.
I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And
you too.
Hopefully we get a chance to hook up and talk again sometime.
Yes, and I'll contact you about maybe coming to visit Wisconsin. That sounds like a neat
Love
place.
To do that.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much. And for all of our listeners, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Whispers from the Dark. To find out more about cryptids, anomalies, and the Paranormal Society, visit us at our website at wisconsincaps.com. That's Wisconsin, CAPS.com. There you can find links to all of our social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and our Patreon. You will see links to our online store as well, where you can get t-shirts, DVDs, and more. If you click on the public events page, you can find out where you can meet us in person and all the public events we have coming up. If you enjoy our podcast or our YouTube shows, please consider becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/Wisconsin Caps. There you can find behind-the-scenes pictures and videos from all of our media, as well as bonus footage and evidence that we have collected. If you have encountered something you can't explain, we want to hear from you. Visit our website and click on Submit a Report on our main screen. You can choose to leave your contact information or simply remain anonymous. You can also reach us via email at wisconsincaps@gmail.com. If you would like to be a guest on our show, please contact us on our Whispers from the Dark podcast page on Facebook, or send us an email at wisconsincaps.com. Remember to like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen or watch or find us.